Privilege to just tie things up this afternoon, and Helen asked me to do this, and we'll have a quick go at see if we can draw some threads together of what's happening and kind of my take on things. I think my biggest decision on a day like this is whether to have it tucked in or hanging out. I heard that a man of my age, as he approaches his 50th year, it's having it hanging out is the equivalent to the Bobby Charlton sweep over. But anyway, it's hanging out. And it's been a great afternoon, and I haven't got the slides that Kev had, but I have a bit of paper here which I might refer to. But it has been a great afternoon, and I've been delighted to be here, and I've had lots of fun and met people. It's been great meeting Twitterati and putting names to the Twitter faces. And I'd kind of dub it the new professionalism. And I'll come on to that in a bit. But I think there is something going on that I think is great. And it would be unlike me if you've followed what I've said on blogs and stuff and in newspapers, for me not to be a bit political at this point. One of my greatest badges of honour is if you go on the Conservative Home website, which is the Tim Montgomery, Harry Phibbs, Toby Young site. There's a drop down which says Lefty Watch, and I'm on it. I don't know how great that is for my career, but anyway, I do have an email from my chair of governors which says, "It's okay, John, we do agree with everything you say," which I'm hanging on to when it comes to a disciplinary against me. But I do think we've responded as a profession to the pressure we've been put under tremendously well, admirably, amazingly. If you look at the GCSE fiasco, if you look at the EBCs, if you look at the funding cuts, I think we've been amazing. And I think what has happened as those things have come to pass and the policies have changed at the centre is that we've had to be innovative. I look at my funding at our school. I did have a £7.1 million budget. I now have a £6.5 million budget, nearly £600,000 less than I had 2 years ago to deliver the same things to the same kids. And some things start to go, don't they? And some things start to fracture and fray. But the one thing we mustn't let fray is teacher development. Right? And that's absolutely crucial. You should put all your money into CPD, because the only thing, as Kev said at the beginning, that makes a difference to the young people in our classrooms is pedagogy, and us getting better at being teachers. And I think that's really, really important. And what you see today is innovation. What you see in Teach Meets and what you see in events like this is teachers getting together, sharing pedagogy, supporting each other and developing practice for the classroom. And if I just think about where I've come from in the last 12 months, you know, I've been able to meet some amazing people and connect with some amazing people. I'm just going to go through a list, and this isn't exhaustive by any means. But Jonathan Sharples at the IEE, which is the Institute for Effective Education, which is based at York University, that I didn't even know existed at York University. Honestly, I live less than half a mile from the university, and I didn't know the IE existed. I'm now doing a project with him and also with his mate at the Education Endowment Foundation on kind of monitoring a piece of work we're doing about engagement and motivation for students. Amazing. Tom Sherrington. If you've not come across Tom Sherrington, linked with him. Now got him to work with the Head Teachers Roundtable on curriculum design. He was here yesterday. Doing some work on that. Zoe Alder, just a goddess, unbelievable, right? And so out of nowhere, she's coaching our junior leadership team, and she came up a few weeks ago. Jeff Barton, who I've known before, but through the GCSE fiasco, through Twitter, made some great connections with him and developed some work with him. Pete Jones, I felt just so humble and so kind of grateful to be on that tube map. Loved it. Ros McMullen, who, if you've not met Ros, is a force of nature and head of David Young Community Academy in Leeds, in some of the toughest places in Leeds. I met with her. And David, being there today, listening to David talk and looking at some of the stuff that he's using, that he's nicked off me, which is great. Which is really great. And Tom Bennett and Chris Waugh, I mean, that debate we had a few weeks ago about target setting, you know, and Tom Bennett, that last paragraph in Tom Bennett's blog about you can't stop time, you can't stop Abraham Lincoln being assassinated, but he'll work his hardest to ensure that the young people in front of him can change the history of the story of their lives. What a great paragraph, and that was, you know, that's been in front of my whole staff. Sarah Finlayter, your I can't see where she is, but her observation tips for observations, that is now in a folder in every single member of staff in my school. Alex Quigley, who luckily is Hunting English, if you've not come across Hunting English, is our head of English at Huntington. He and I just feed off each other with the blogging and the discussion and the debate that goes on. Kev Bartle, fantastic debate about progress and lessons that made me reevaluate everything I was thinking about as we've got Ofsted coming up. All those people and more, and you know there's loads more. And I've just met Kenny Piper today. We've just been debating how brilliant the Rumble in the Jungle was, and Muhammad Ali, and just I think we're probably in the same age envelope, possibly. We remember that type of thing. But it's been fantastic, and it's all been through us being innovative and us taking risks and doing things differently. And that's been superb. And the one person, the last person I want to talk about on that before I go back to my theme is Helene, who has been the architect. Who's been the architect of today, who I met on Twitter a long time ago, and couldn't quite work out what the Twitter label I had to keep remembering it to type it in, but fantastic insight and support, and then having the motivation to set up today, because it's probably been a pain in the arse, but fantastic fun. And to have been so successful, Helene, it's just been amazing. So we do have just a little gift for you to mark today and to mark the achievement of what you've done. So I'm going to go out of camera shot now to go and get it. But look over here. We have a framed PedagooLondon T-shirt for you. Framed and signed. Without Helen, we couldn't have done today, and that's just been amazing. So thank you so much. And I think it's been a huge success. If I go back to just to finish, I think what we have to beware of in the Twitter world and the new technologies that have allowed this type of thing to happen is for us to become too insular and forget that there are hundreds and hundreds of great practitioners out there that aren't in our community yet. And I think that will grow, but we have to beware of that. I know lots of people who don't know about Twitter. And one of the things I've learned being part of being what I call the poster boy of the Head Teachers Round Table, if you followed that. That first meeting we had at The Guardian with Fiona Miller and stuff, and I came down and thinking it's Guardian, I'll wear a jumper, I went all metrosexual, got my man bag out. And they all turned up, they're all in their suits. And if you that photo, that's haunted me ever since. But that's been great, and meeting people there. But I think what members of the Head Teachers Round Table must beware of is thinking that everybody knows about us and everybody's in tune with that, because I don't think that's true. As long as Andrew Old and as long as Pete Yeomans are both in town, I don't think we'll get complacent, because they challenge us all the time, and they are as important in that community that we've got on Twitter and social networking as anybody else. I think they're really important, and you ignore the naysayers at your peril, I think that's a real truism. But we do have, as I said, and it's been quoted, we do have a responsibility to share. I've never ever had any other way of being, really, as long as I can remember. If anybody ever comes to interview at my school, I say at the beginning that I refuse to compete with any other school. I'm hugely competitive, right? But I do refuse to compete with any other school, because actually what you're doing if you compete with other schools is saying you're taking pleasure in young people quite close to you probably not doing as well as your young people. And I think that is morally corrupt as educationalists. So I'm absolutely clear about it. We have a professional responsibility and a moral responsibility to share what we know for the good of every single student in our school. And I think what we're doing today is really important. I think what we're doing is exciting. I think it's for teachers, by teachers, for students. I've been privileged to be part of it. Thank you very much. Have a great journey home.